On a freezing night, a man is seen running toward the train station, clutching a strange box, to board the last train. Breathless and trembling, he's stopped by the conductor, Miles, who asks for his ticket, but the man can barely speak from the cold. Seeing his condition, Miles lets him board. Inside, he sits beside a friendly salesman who offers him a drink. The man gulps it down, then takes a handful of sleeping pills and slowly leans back in his seat. When Miles returns to check tickets, he finds the man dead. Shocked, he calls for help. The salesman quickly hurries over and says he must have taken too many sleeping pills with that drink. Among the passengers was Chloe, a young medical student. She checked the man and told Miles he had suffered a heart attack after mixing sleeping pills with alcohol. Miles stayed calm and told Chloe and the salesman not to touch the body. Then he left to call for help. The moment he was gone, the salesman noticed the small box the man had carried. Curiosity got the better of him, and he reached to open it. But before he could, Miles returned and told him to put the box back in its place. After Miles left, the salesman's greed took over. He quietly opened the mysterious box, and what he saw inside left him shocked. His eyes widened in disbelief, and for a moment he just stared at it.
Then, unable to hold back his excitement, he ran to find Miles, who was on the radio trying to contact the head office about the dead passenger. The salesman stopped him midway and urged him to come back. When they returned, Chloe was already watching the box, and Miles was surprised to see her there. Miles still believed the box belonged to the dead man, but the salesman insisted he take a look inside because he was sure it held something precious. He told Miles they could sell it and share the money. But Miles turned to him coldly and warned him about the risk. What if the real owner came looking for it? They were passengers and would soon leave, but he had to stay there and would be the one caught. Then Chloe broke the silence. She said they didn't have to tell anyone, because the man hadn't even bought a ticket, and no one would ever know he boarded the train. Chloe says while seeing the map that the train will pass by a stream after a while, and they will throw his dead body in the stream. However, Miles still refused to agree with this. He walks away, and Chloe says, "The salesman, what is the point of being a salesman if you can't even persuade a conductor?" Meanwhile, in another compartment, Miles couldn't resist his curiosity. He peeked inside the mysterious box again, and greed slowly took over. Then, determined to keep it safe, he returned, carrying the box and locked it inside a large storage trunk in front of everyone. After that, he began planning how to dispose of the body. Miles decided they would move the dead man to the luggage compartment, hide him in a suitcase, and throw it out once the train passed the stream. So, while the salesman went ahead to distract the passengers, Miles and Chloe brought the body on a wheelchair. But when they tried to fit it into the suitcase, it was too large. The salesman grew angry, saying it was useless to bring the body there. Meanwhile, Chloe slipped away to the kitchen and came back holding a large knife. She said they could cut the body into pieces so it would fit. Miles tried to stop her, his voice shaking with fear, but then the train lights began to flicker. The compartment plunged into brief darkness, and in that moment, Chloe struck, severing the man's head. Miles stood frozen in horror as Chloe glared at him. She told him he couldn't call the police now, because there would be no proof of how the man's head was separated, and he would never dare say a word about her. Then, with terrifying calm, Chloe continued cutting the body into pieces. She packed every part into the suitcase and locked it tight. Later, they threw the suitcase into the dark stream as the train crossed the bridge. Meanwhile, another conductor came and locked the open door, not knowing that Miles and the salesman were still outside in the freezing wind. Chloe tried to open the door, but it was locked tight, so she quietly sneaked into the other conductor's cabin and stole the keys. Then she hurried back, shivering, and began fumbling to unlock the door. But as she sorted through the keys, her eyes stopped on one, the same key Miles had used earlier to lock the mysterious box. Then, instead of opening the door, she turned toward the box, wanting to have it all for herself. But just then, a sudden crash shattered the silence. Miles broke through the glass roof, landing hard on the floor. His eyes went straight to Chloe and the box in her hands. Without a word, he rushed to unlock the door and pull the freezing salesman inside, but the tension between them filled the compartment like the cold air outside. They gathered around the box again and tried to open the mysterious box.
but no matter how hard Miles tried, it wouldn't open. Frustrated, he finally locked it back and stepped out as the train stopped at the next station. Just then, a man approached him, asking for a ticket. At first, Miles agreed, until he noticed the ring on the man's finger. It was the same ring worn by the dead passenger who had owned the box. Just then, Miles quickly denied him a ticket, saying, "There's no room for more passengers." But the man didn't back down. He insisted, saying he had to meet someone. Miles refused again. The man gave him a cold stare and walked away. But when Miles returned to the train, his blood ran cold. The same man was now sitting calmly inside, and the other conductor had already given him a seat.
But when he couldn't find his companion, he grew impatient and angry. So he pulled out a gun and pointed it at them, accusing them of killing his friend and demanding the thing he came for, the mysterious box, which he suspected they have stolen it. Miles hesitated, but finally handed it over. But as the man touched it, he flinched because the box was burning hot. The gun slipped from his hand and fell to the floor. The salesman quickly grabbed it and aimed it back at him. Then, the man warned them that the box was cursed, that anyone who possessed it would die before sunrise. So, he begged them to let him destroy it before it claimed more lives. However, the salesman didn't listen. His greed was stronger than his fear. He said the man could destroy it only after he gave them the treasure hidden inside. The man refused. The tension grew, and in a sudden struggle, both men grabbed the gun, and it went off, and the man fell dead on the floor. Here, we learn the truth about the mysterious box. It isn't just cursed. It holds a strange supernatural power. The box shows different things to different people, their deepest desires, their darkest wishes, the one thing they crave the most. Then, Chloe grabbed Miles by the arm and hissed for him to help move the suitcase with the body. Miles refused, not wanting any more part in it. But Chloe leaned close, threatening to kill his wife if he didn't obey. Meanwhile, the distant wail of police sirens grew louder, closing in on the moving train. Moments later, officers managed to board, guns drawn, demanding Miles hand over the mysterious box. They too were after it. Miles panicked and bolted down the corridor, shoving past the policeman. He tried to hide behind a compartment door, but froze when he saw the salesman lying dead. Just as the stranger had warned, whoever looked inside the box would die before sunrise. Before the policeman could pull the trigger, Chloe appeared from behind and drove a sharp blow into the officer's neck, killing him instantly. Then, with the gun now in her hand, she turned it on Miles. At gunpoint, she ordered him to lead her to where the mysterious box was hidden. Trembling, Miles unlocked the compartment. But when the door creaked open, the box was gone. As Chloe got distracted by the sight of the missing mystery box, Miles quickly escaped, slamming the compartment door behind him and trapping her inside. He then confronted the other conductor, suspecting he had taken the box. But the man refused to hand it over, claiming it now belonged to him. Just then, Chloe broke free from the locked compartment and shot the conductor in the leg. But before she could grab the box, someone else fired from behind, hitting them both. Miles used the chaos to escape and ran into another compartment where a woman was sitting quietly. "There's a killer on this train," he gasped. The woman looked up and calmly said, "They were all meant to die." She then pulled a gun from her bag, just as another passenger, a Japanese man, burst in and started shooting. Miles ducked as both shooters hit each other and collapsed dead. Moments later, the Japanese man's companion entered, saying he wouldn't kill Miles if he handed over the box. He placed the burning box in the sink, trying to cool it down. Suddenly, the train engineer rushed in, yelling that the engine had failed, the radio was dead, and the train couldn't be stopped. Then Chloe, still alive, her face scarred from gunfire, stormed in with a gun and shot everyone except Miles. She grabbed the box again, but as she became distracted by its smoke and strange heat, Miles struck her on the head, knocking her unconscious.
Miles searched the dead passengers for keys and found a strange ring on one man's finger. Taking it, he ran toward the train's last compartment, trying to detach it from the rest of the train. But before he could, Chloe regained consciousness and attacked him again. During their fight, the train split into two. The box slipped from Chloe's hands and fell off the train, and so Chloe fall and get trapped between the splitting train. Despite Miles's desperate attempt to save her, the train split apart, tearing her in two. And, when the wreck finally stopped, Miles stumbled out into the snow and searched for the fallen box. He found it buried in the ice and used the mysterious ring to open it. Then, a strange, blinding light shone from inside. Miles placed the box on the tracks, hoping the next train would destroy it. Miles collapsed in the snow, freezing to death. But just then, a dog appeared and knocked the box away. The train thundered past, yet the box remained untouched. Later, a young girl found the box. Her eyes lit up with excitement as she opened it, and once again, the curse began. Whoever looked inside the box became trapped by their own greed. No one ever knew where it came from. The film ends on this haunting note. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.